Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I drop these podcast episodes. And this is podcast episode number 2, season 1, and I'm excited to be here. Today we're going to be talking about broken relationships and how we heal from those. And yes, this ties into mental health because broken relationships can literally lead to depression, anxiety, and just you feeling overall anxious. It's a lot brighter today, which I'm happy for, and I'm excited to do this video for you guys. I cannot wait. Also, guys, check out my podcast, My Mental Health Diary. It is on Spotify, it's on Apple, and I believe it's on iHeart and a few other platforms, but I'll have to look for that, y'all, and I'll put it in the description below so y'all can subscribe to my podcast and follow, download, do all that stuff y'all want to do. But I am excited, y'all, to film this video today for you guys. So let's get into it. So first of all, I do want to say this. It's so important that we heal from our broken relationships with people, not just with friends, with family, with personal relationships, romantic relationships, whatever we may have with that person. Because if we don't, it will affect our healing process and it will affect our mental health. So I want to get into this video by starting off by talking to you guys about a situation I was in years ago and how I got here. 2013, 2014, I met a guy. We met, I remember, on an online dating app. Okay, I didn't know much about him at first, but we fell for each other kind of hard and kind of fast. I remember the first time we met, he was super cool. We hung out for a bit, and then, after we hung out for the little bit of time that we did, we decided we wanted to be together. And so we got into a serious relationship. I didn't know that he was the kind of guy that he was until we got deep into our relationship. He ended up not being all of who I thought he was. I found out later on that he was addicted to prescription pills. He was constantly smoking weed, constantly drinking, and he had got me sucked into that life. So, we would get into little arguments here and there. And most people argue, you argue with your partner, you forgive, you forget, and you move on. Not with him. We would get into these deep arguments and he would put his hands on me. He would beat me. He would verbally abuse me and call me bees and hoes and sluts. He would embarrass me in front of guests. And we being out in public at a store, he would scream and yell at me and disrespect me. I was verbally, mentally, and physically abused. It got to the point where he started beating on me. I'll never forget the first time he put his hands on me. I remember this like yesterday. I had a red jacket on and he got mad at me for saying something, grabbed me and pushed me against that wall. I was in shock at that point. And then he apologized and said he was sorry. He would never do it again. Being young and dumb, I forgave him, thinking he would never put his hands on me again. Well, guess what happened, you guys? He did it several more times after that. It went to a point where he threw me in a tub. He got mad at me and tossed me into a tub. I hit my head. I fell in there. My body was sore, marks on me. And I remember his friends happened to be downstairs and they were like, "What's going on? What's going on?" He lied and said, "Oh, nothing. She just got hurt. It's fine. She slipped or whatever." That's what he told his friends because they heard this loud boom noise when he threw me in the tub. There was a time where he got mad. His whole bookshelf ended up falling to the ground because he was beating me. He threw me down to the ground. There was a lot of abuse in that relationship. And I didn't know any better at the time because I didn't love myself. I had low self-esteem. I suffered from codependency. I was a people pleaser. And I felt like back then, if I didn't have a man, I didn't have nothing. I was unhealed and broken, and I would just go from relationship to relationship thinking that if I didn't love myself, somebody else was going to love me. I was just putting band-aids over band-aids of broken wounds and trauma that I had never healed from in any relationship or even just from my past. I had never healed from anything. And I was sucking the life out of the people that were around me because I wasn't happy with myself, so I had to get happiness from them, and I was just miserable. I had a lot of trust issues. I felt like every guy was cheating on me or going to mistreat me. And I just remember in that relationship, I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't love myself. And he didn't obviously love me, even though he claimed he did. Because if he did, why was he beating me? Why was he verbally abusing me? Why was he treating me the way he did? There were times where I would go outside to my car and cry. I was practically living with him because we were together 5 days a week. I went home 2 days a week to see my parents, and that was it. They would always say, "Well, you're never home." But I was gone all the time. I stayed with him 5 days a week. I would go from work to his house. I would go from school to his house. And that's just what we did. It was such a rough relationship being with somebody who treated me like that. But I thought that was love. I didn't know better. I thought if somebody hurt you, it's okay because they still love you. People just make mistakes. I didn't know better. I did not know better. And I dealt with this relationship for 2 years straight. His mom was sick, so I always felt bad for him. I would threaten to call the cops, but I never would. He would hide my phones when I wanted to call the police. And the reason I didn't really call the cops is because he would always say his mom was really sick at the time. Remember, she was really ill. She was bedridden. He was her caretaker. He quit his job to take care of her. And so I felt like, hey, if I send him to jail, who's going to take care of his mom? So I always felt sorry for him, and I always would not do anything to hurt him. There were times he threw me in a closet. His mom heard him. She called from downstairs and she's like, what's going on? He's lying to her, of course, saying was in his closet getting something dropped. I just went along with it. I just stayed for the abuse. What he would do a lot of times, he would fake apologize to me, or he would spend a lot of money on me. He had a lot of money. I'm not going to lie. For him to be who he was, even after his mother's passing, bless her soul, I went to the funeral with him, all that good stuff, even after his mother's passing, y'all. And I never forget this because I left work and asked my boss could I leave to go to his funeral, and I did. Went to his mom's funeral. After that, the abuse got worse. Now it was just me and him living there. His mom is no longer there, and his cousin who was there, who I couldn't stand, he couldn't stand me. I don't even know why. He was just weird. And I was just dealing with that. It got worse. He was beating me more. He was abusing me more. He was disrespecting me more. And like I said, it was times I would just cry in the car because I was broken. And I tell this story a lot because I feel like people need to hear this story for their own sake. Just because people need to learn that do not stay in a place that you should not be. I tell this story a lot because I feel like a lot of people are in situations that they don't need to be in, but they're there because they feel stuck, and you are not stuck with anyone. It's so important to heal those broken relationships so you can move on. Would I ever forgive this person? I have forgiven him. It's been years now. He has apologized. He's contacted me through social media years ago and apologized. I forgive him. Do I forget? Hell no. I'll never forget the way he treated me, but I do forgive because life has moved on for me. And I also had to take accountability for myself to be like, why were you with him in the first place, Sherelle? When you met him, he was broken. Came from a broken home. You saw signs. You saw his anger. He also cheated on me with his ex. I found him in his cell phone, found him texting and talking to his ex, telling his ex to come over and see him when I was out shopping and getting us food at the grocery store. All these things he was doing, and he was manipulating me, and he was hurting me. And I was pretty much I fell victim to prey. I didn't love myself. I had the lowest self-esteem back then. I didn't love anything about myself. And he probably saw through that, and he took advantage of that. And I pretty much allowed him to take advantage because I didn't know any better. The problem is a lot of times in these type of relationships, if you come into a relationship already broken, as I was in all my relationships, it doesn't end well for you because you're already broken. Then you come into a relationship and you're bringing that brokenness into that relationship, and I would always date men who were broken. I don't know why, but I was always latched to a broken man. I could never find a man that was not broken. The first time in my life, which is now, I'm in a relationship, I'm engaged. And this is the first man I've ever dated that was healed and not broken. Every guy I've dated was broken outside of him. And I had to learn that, why am I messing with these broken men? I had one therapist tell me, you can't fix somebody who's broken. You can't piece. Just like if you break a glass, if you have a glass a glass vase and it breaks, you can try to piece it back together, but you're probably going to cut your fingers in the process. And sometimes the pieces are all over the floor and you can't put it back together. So you have to buy a new vase, right? And so that's how my relationships were. I couldn't fix these broken people and they could not fix me. We shouldn't have ever been together, but somehow we were there. Two broken people who had not healed. And I say all this to say, when you come out of those relationships, you have to heal yourself. First of all, you have to look at what made you get into that relationship. What put you into that relationship? What put me into my relationships were I didn't love myself. I had low self-esteem. I had codependency. I struggled with people pleasing. I struggled with not wanting to be alone. I didn't know how to be alone. If somebody wasn't in my life, I didn't feel whole. I didn't know how to be by myself. I didn't know how to maneuver life if somebody else wasn't around me. I was in and out of relationships my whole life. Literally. I would break up with one guy, get into another relationship, get into another relationship. It's like I could not be single for more than a couple of weeks and I was in a new relationship. And that's how it went for me because I was so broken. When we do that, we don't allow ourselves to heal. You do believe you have to be single for at least a year before you get into a new relationship. And I'm going to tell you guys why I feel this way. Because a lot of times when we get into new relationships, we haven't even learned to heal. We haven't even gotten to a place in our lives where we have begun to do any kind of healing. And then the first thing we go and do is we say, okay, I'm going to jump into this new relationship with somebody else, knowing that we are still broken, knowing that we have not healed from our trauma, knowing that we have a lot of work to do on ourselves. If we stay single for a year, we can fix ourselves. We can go through the motions of healing. Healing is never easy. I'm still healing, you guys. Healing is not an easy task. It can take years. It can take months. It can take God knows how long. There's no deadline to healing. But if we never heal the brokenness in us, we cannot move on. We cannot get to the space we need to be in when we are broken. Because all we're going to do is continue to take that brokenness into another relationship and keep being broken. And if we don't heal the brokenness in us, we will never be able to fully heal, to know who we are. A lot of times people don't know who they are. I didn't know who I was. I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest with you. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I'm still trying to figure out who Sherelle is and what Sherelle likes sometimes. And it's normal to feel that way. But when I talk about broken relationships and healing, a lot of times we set ourselves up. We set ourselves up because we put ourselves in situations that we would not be in if we were healed. Wouldn't be in if we were healed. I'm going to tell you, for example, this is a girl I follow on Facebook. Now I can give her information out. But every time I turn around, she's in a new relationship. She can't be single for more than a week. I kid you not. She'll fall out with her significant other, and next thing you know, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later, she got a whole new man. And every time I read her post, I'm just sitting here like, you got 2 kids. And what are you teaching your children having all these different men in and out of their life? You are not healed. You are broken. You can't even be single for more than a month. And I'm looking, and I know you're probably saying, and that was me. That's why I'm looking at her situation, because it reminds me of me. And I know it's not healthy, but I'm like, why are you putting yourself through that? Why you can't be single? You don't even have your stuff together. You don't have no car. You ain't got your life together, but you in these relationships, broken, trying to find something that you don't have within yourself. A lot of times we gotta look at ourselves. Do we have all ourselves together before we get into this relationship? Are we whole? Or do we have a good job? Do we have a car? Do we have things financially there to be a good partner for that person? You got to look at yourself in the mirror and go, are you a good partner? Would you be a good partner to somebody? Would you be a good wife? Would you be a good husband? Because if not, you still got some work to do on yourself. A lot of work. I saw a video too the other day on TikTok where a lady was literally homeless, but she wanted to go on dates and date people. And I remember the people in the comments were like, they were just, you know how people in the comments, they're going to talk good and bad. But the guy was telling her, well, you're homeless. Your priorities are messed up. You need to focus on that and then worry about dating. She got mad, put out the camera, recorded him, and of course posted it for the world to see. And I'm not even going to lie to you. Being homeless, in my opinion, can be a form of being broken in a sense, because you're in a broken state. You're not in a state you want to be in. And regardless of how you got there, no judgment. Should she have been dating? In my opinion, probably no. Because at this point, if you're homeless and you're trying to work on yourself and get your situation together and get you a job or a house or whatever, or an apartment, you got to focus solely on you. Yes, it's nice that you might want to date and have companionship, but your main focus should be getting your stuff together. And those are the mistakes that we make. We don't have ourselves all together. And then we go and get into a relationship and it all falls apart. And we're wondering why this ain't working, why this is going left, because you haven't fixed no brokenness within yourself. If you have codependency like me, for instance, codependency starts in childhood. I had to fix those broken relationships with my parents because that's where it started at, with them. If I didn't fix it, took me years to fix the relationship with my parents. Years. I love my parents to death. I really do. Will always love them. Will do anything for them. I'll walk on some cold, warm, hot coals across for them. But I will say this. I had to go to a lot. I'm still in therapy. And I had to go to a lot of therapists to heal that codependency. There's times where, my parents, nothing's perfect. I love them to death. We still have butt heads sometimes. But the difference is I healed majority of that relationship. I had to learn like, hey, this happened when I was this age. Now it's up to me to move past that. A lot of us stay stagnant. A lot of us don't want to forgive our parents because of the trauma they put us through. And because of that, it holds us back from healing because we are allowing what they did to us to affect us in our future, in our present. And I know some parents have done horrible things to their kids, so I get why y'all don't want to forgive and why you choose to cut them off and not go no contact. I'm not judging if you choose to do that. What I'm saying is, though, you do have to revisit those places in order to heal, because if you don't revisit what caused the trauma and the pain in that relationship, you are not going to heal. I promise you, you will not heal until those things are addressed. And that's pretty much how I feel, because I had to address that with my parents in order to heal my brokenness, because it started there. And so that's why I was going into every relationship struggling with codependency. I was codependent on every person I dated because of my childhood. So I had to start there and then move forward. I had to go back in time and try to figure out what happened here. What could I have done differently? Let me revisit this place again. And that's what it really takes. You got to revisit those places in your head to figure out where you need to go to heal. And when I talk about broken relationships, I don't just mean you can have broken relationships within your friends. And those broken relationships, I cannot talk, y'all, but those broken relationships within your friends can also cause you to have issues with people. If all your friends, let's say they bullied you or they never were there for you, that can make you feel broken inside. That can make you feel like, well, dang, now I don't trust other people to be my friend because these friends treated me this way. way. And this new friend might treat me the same way. They might treat me bad too. They might disrespect me. They may not be a good friend to me because my old friends were not a good friend to me. So you got to go back and revisit that and go, hey, what made me feel this way? What happened? How do I heal this so I can make new friends and realize they're not like my old friends? And even like I said, it's stuff you just have to think about. When I talk about relationships, I mean all kinds. It could be relationships with your coworkers. I remember in a previous job, I had a coworker that was bullying me. And I just got to the point I quit my job because I could not deal with her being I went to the manager on her. I did everything on my end, had my friends backing me up, but yet somehow this girl was still able to still keep the job and still continue to bully us and treat us like trash. And I could not deal with it. I quit the job and I went into other jobs thinking because I got bullied here or because these people treated me like crap here, I don't want to make friends at other jobs because they're going to treat me the same way. And I had to go back and revisit that and go, okay, Sherelle, wait a minute. This girl treated you bad. Some of your other coworkers treated you bad too. But that does not mean these new people at the new job is going to do the same thing. You have to get to know them. You have to open your mind. And it's called, again, revisiting that. I had to revisit that. I had to revisit those things in order to heal myself. So you have to go back, and sometimes in time, you have to revisit all those relationships that broke you down. Whether it be a relationship with your husband, a boyfriend, a friendship, a coworker, whatever. Revisit those relationships and figure out what got you there and how you can move on from that. Because if not, you will not heal. Healing is a long process, like I said. It's a long process. But you cannot heal if you don't accept the things that happened in your past. Like my therapist told me, sometimes you got to run through the healing process. If you don't want to walk through it, you got to run through it. But you're gonna be in some kind of pain while you're trying to heal because you have to feel everything in order to heal. You can't just heal and not feel nothing. Otherwise, you won't be healing. I had to learn that I had to feel everything from my past to get to where I'm at now. And I'm still healing, y'all. I'm better than what I was, thank God. But I want to say this, I'm being honest with you, I'm still healing, but I'm better than what I was because I had to do the work. And that's why I tell anybody, therapy is going to be your best friend when you're healing. Always think about going to therapy. Don't look at it as, I don't want to tell a stranger my business. Therapy will help you through anything. It will guide you. It will get you to the places that you need to be. If you don't go to therapy, you will not heal. You will not move on. You will not get to the place that you need to be in because you did not go to therapy. A lot of people feel like in their minds, I don't need to go to therapy. I don't need to face this. I don't need to, I'm good. I'm good. They tell themselves that. Or they feel like they don't want to talk to a stranger, but yet because they're not going to therapy, because they're choosing to just bury it under and sweep it underneath the rug or sweep it underneath the bed, they're never going to address that trauma. Some people are still stuck in trauma as probably as older people because they never addressed trauma that happened in childhood. They just swept under the rug. They left those broken relationships broken and never tried to heal what could have caused them to be in those situations, you know? And so I always say this to say, you don't have to stay broken. You don't ever have to stay broken. You can piece yourself back together and get back to the place that you want to be in. No one is ever just, oh my God, you're broken. You got to stay broken. You can never heal. No, you can fix that brokenness and heal and get to the place you need to be in. But in order to do that, again, we have to visit those places that made us broken in the first place. And a lot of times it starts with our relationships and people around us. They make us feel broken. They make us feel unheard. They make us feel not good about ourselves. And that's just where it starts. And my brokenness for me was with my parents and it went with the people I was dating. And that's kind of how, I don't really remember too much with friendships or having my friends make me feel, well, actually, you know what? I did have when I was like probably in high school and I was probably in middle school, I had kids that would bully me sometimes. And that did traumatize me as I got older because I would always think back to, look what that person did to me. I'm not gonna lie, my cousin dated a girl in school that used to bully me. And I couldn't stand her. She would come to my parents' house trying to be all fake nice to me. And I was just like, didn't you bully me in school? Why are you being so fake? Then she had nerve to my mom, I just would love to hang out with Sherelle. And I'm like, why would I hang out with you? You bullied me. So every time I saw her, I was angry. I didn't like her being in the same presence as me. I couldn't understand why my cousin would date my bully. But, you know, they're not together now, thank the Lord. Because I didn't like her. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But I had to dig deep in myself and go, Sherelle, yes, this girl may have bullied me in school. But is my bullying still happening now in adulthood? No, it's not. So I'm not gonna lie. I was bitter when I would see her come around me. I was very bitter and I didn't like her. But I had to come out of that because I realized that even though she bullied me in high school, I'm no longer in high school. I'm a grown adult now. I'm in college now. I got a daughter. I got a whole different life now. What happened to high school is high school. Was it wrong for her to bully me? Yes, it was. She had not done it. Yes, but at the end of the day, that was back then. So I had to go revisit that place. And I'm gonna tell you guys, I still remember to the day when she bullied me in the cafeteria and she talked about my hair. I remember that to this day. Yeah, I remember that. And That's crazy. I know I have a lot of good memories though, y'all. But that wasn't a good memory. But my point being is I had to go back and revisit it and go, okay, Sherelle, you're not there no more. Nobody's bullying you now. And so a lot of times we carry a lot of things from our past that broke us down and we bring that into the future. And it's like, we can't do that in order to heal. We cannot do that. No, if you want to heal yourself, you can't bring what happened to you back then into your future. It's just not going to work that way. And everything I'm telling y'all is because I learned this in therapy. I'm never going to tell y'all anything on here that I have not learned or that I have not been through. I will never speak on anything that I know nothing about. I will never speak on anything that I have not gone through. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to do research before I get on here and record it. Believe me. Anything I say, if I don't know it about it, I'm going to research it like hell before I record this podcast. Like I'm just talking out my butt. I'm really going to research anything I don't know about to tell y'all. Because I feel like that's important. I don't want to be one of those podcasters that get on here and spew all this stuff and y'all just think I'm full of crap. No, everything I tell y'all is because I've been through it. I know somebody that's been through it or I'm going through it now, whatever the case may be. And if I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to research it and they get on here and tell you this is what I found on such and such website and this is, But I just want to put that out there for y'all to know that this is just me being genuinely me. And yeah, it's really, like I said, I had to go back a lot of times to my past to fix that brokenness and just try to figure out what made me be in this space that I was in the first place. Some people, again, feel like they can't be fixed. They feel like I'm always going to be broken. I'm always going to be, no, you're not. No, you're not. You are fixable. You don't always have to stay in that place if you choose not to stay in that place. No one wants to be in a dark place. You want to persevere through that dark place. Walk through that tunnel of healing. Walk till you get to the end, the finish line, because then you know you've made it. And one thing I've learned too is that when you're fully healed, certain stuff no longer bothers you because you're healed now. So what somebody say about you, what somebody does, any past relationship, whatever the case may be, you're too healed to even acknowledge that stuff. It's not even worth it. You're not going to let nobody break you down because you're too healed to allow that to happen. You're too healed. And a lot of people get broken down. We get broken down by abusive relationships. We get broken down by our jobs. We get broken down by the little things that we may see or hear, but you can't allow those things to continue to break you down. You have to, at some point, uplift yourself and know that you are not meant to be broken all the time, that you are meant to come out of that at some point. You don't have to stay in that place. You can come out of it. You can come out of that place. You can heal from it. You can see the good in it. And I feel like a lot of people give up because the healing process is such a long, lengthy thing. A lot of us have been through so much, we're just like, I don't even care no more. We get to the point where we become numb, we become cold, we harden up in a sense because we've been through so much. But I don't want y'all to ever do that because just because one person hurt you or broke you doesn't mean the next person in your life is going to do that. A lot of people will say, well, all guys are the same. They all cheat. That is not true. Your man may have cheated. Your past man may have cheated, but that does not mean your present man will do the same thing. We got to get that thought process out of our mind. I used to think like that too. I'm not gonna lie. I used to think that all men cheated, that I'm never gonna find a good guy, but I had to learn that is not true. It was just the men I was picking that were cheaters. The man I have now does not cheat. And I say all this to say we got to reframe our mind. Like my therapist told me last Friday, she said, sure, you got to reframe your mind to think positive. Let those negative thoughts go. Reframe your mind and your thoughts. Because when you sit in all your thoughts are negative, that's all you're going to think about. But when you reframe those thoughts to something positive, you don't think those things. And so in my head, I want to tell y'all a story. This probably might be a little off topic, but I had a patient on a phone call at my job. Very rude to me. And I remember I was so mad about that call. And I sat back and my therapist said, Sherelle, did you think about any positives in that call? And I said, no, I just thought the negatives because she was yelling at me. She was being mean to me. And it was just bothering me. And she was like, what did you do good in that call? I said, well, I answered the call. I was nice to her. I tried to help her, but she was just belligerent. My therapist said, then why are you upset? She said, you were positive during that call. You did your job. Don't let the negative part of that call affect you. You have to think about the positives to that call. And so I say all this to say, when you feel like you're broken, don't think about the negative parts of that brokenness. Think about the positive to that and where you can go with it. Just because you are broken does not mean there's not some positives that can be there to aid you and to help you through it. And that's where it comes in, like I said, reframing those thoughts, but also learn to fix what broke us, okay? We can't fix the people that broke us. We just can't. There's no way we can go on and try to fix them. They're going to be who they are, and that's okay. Let them be who they are, but we can fix ourselves. We don't have to be who those people. We don't have to become a bad, hardened up person because they treated us bad, because they're not the new people in our lives. They're our past. And so, yes, you got to revisit those relationships to heal, but you don't have to ever go back to those people or deal with them again. But it teaches you how to take care of yourself, how to treat yourself, how to heal. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, nobody else will. That's where that self-care comes in. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to make sure we are good. Get your manis, get your petties, go get a massage, get your hair done. Take care of yourself. That is such a big part of mental health and self-care. If we don't take care of ourselves, how do we expect to get through it? How do we expect to feel good about ourselves? We can't, because that still continues to make us feel broken because we're not taking care of ourselves. And when you're healing and when you're growing and when you're trying to push through on when you have mental health issues, you have to take care of yourself. You can't keep putting yourself to the back burner. I know a lot of us have kids and families and whatever, and we sometimes put ourselves to the back burner to take care of our houses, but sometimes we have to still learn to put ourselves first. Take a break. Say, hey, today you got the kids. I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm going to go to the movies. I'm going to take myself to eat. But you have to get out of that moment where you feel stuck. We have to get out of that stuck feeling. And that's why I say it's just so important to heal that brokenness and find out where it came from and how you got there and what you can do to make it better. You can make it better. You can, but you really have to be motivated to want to get the help. And sometimes we can't heal on our own. We can't fix stuff on our own. We have to go, like I said, go to therapy. We have to figure some stuff out. And also it's about forgiveness. A lot of times we have issues with forgiveness. We don't want to forgive people. And like I said, a lot of times you're not forgiving that person for them. You're doing it for you. Because if you stay stuck in those grudges and I don't want to forgive this person. They broke me. They made me feel down. Okay, but what does that do for you if you don't forgive them? It just makes your healing process harder because you can't heal because you did not forgive. You did not really move on from that. And like I said, for me, I will forgive you. But of course, in the back of my mind, I'm never going to forget what you did to me. But the point is, at least you have forgiven that person so you can move on. You forgive for you, not the other person. And if you're a broken person trying to fix that brokenness, you have to learn to forgive what got you there in the first place. And until you're willing to do that, you're going to continue to be broken down. You're not going to feel good about yourself. You're not going to be in the space that you need to be in to heal. So again, this episode again was about fixing the brokenness in you to heal. Fix those broken relationships. And that doesn't mean you have to go back to those friendships or those boyfriends or girlfriends or husbands or co-workers or whoever, but it does mean that you have to face what happened to move forward and to fix that brokenness. And again, you don't have to stay broken. You can come out of that. You can heal, you can be better, you can choose to thrive and do all the right things, but it's up to you ultimately at the end of the day to do the work to heal. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. This has been a entertaining, great episode, and I'm glad I was able to talk about it and express my stories, and I hope you guys really heard me. Again, check out for more episodes. I don't really have a set up schedule right now. I might record every day. You never know with me. Eventually, I'll get a set schedule. I'll put that up there for you guys. But I will let you know in the description again where you can find my podcast at. And I hope everyone has a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? No, Monday. I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead the week. Hope everyone has a beautiful, beautiful Monday. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me for more podcast episodes. And have an amazing, amazing night.